Hiya! So I got my hands on the Just For You Online new clock kit, although it's not that new, it's just I'm a bit slow to the party. Anyway, I'm just going to do what I do best and chuck anything and everything I possibly can on this clock. It's a 28cm round, it comes in two parts. You've got your Roman numerals topper, which we'll do at the end, and I'll show you that and how I'm going to decorate it because I have an idea. Next up is your pre-drilled centre hole for a 28cm diameter MDF board. It looks like about 5 or 6 mil, which is cracking because it means it's not going to warp or change shape when you've got all that resin and texture on there. Absolutely love these. Let's make a start. Oh, you also get your mechanisms in there, and I'll show you how to put that together because I do sometimes think when you're new to the resin and clock world, the mechanisms are your biggest pain, so we'll do that together. But yeah, let's make a clock. I'm excited. I got all the stuff, all the supplies. I'm going to show you what I'm thinking, although it'll change, no doubt. So we're going to use the high, no we're not, we're going to use one coat. I was going to use high gloss because I fancied some really cool lacing in my clock, but I quickly changed my mind. So we're going to go for one coat. My one coats have never got a lid. I don't know how I lose the lids. I've lost the lid. So we might have one coat and a few extra bits, but that's great. We're going to go with it. We have got Puffball White, #1 pigment in town for covering your surfaces. Now the reason I'm using my pigments for this clock is it means that I haven't got to prep or prime my surface. You can prime your board, and it would be recommended in the art world to always prime your surface before you get going, but I just want to get making art. I don't want to prime and come back tomorrow. So good quality pigments. You might still find that you get a few bubbles pop up in your resin, and that's not because the resin is overly bubbly, it's because your wood is porous, so lots of resin is going to seep into the board, which is great because that's how it adheres, but in return it can just pop up a few bubbles because it's a porous surface. So I shall be there with my lighter. So we got Puffball, Almost Midnight. I've picked up some Damsel and Deep Water transparent tints. Oh, we might have to get some pearl pigments. I'll get some pearls as well. Secret Gold. I've got Mother of Pearl textures. I've got all the stuff, guys, but when we get going I'll show you. So I've already done 70 mils of hardener, done it backwards. My scales measure in volume as well, so it looks like I'm weighing the resin. I'm not, I'm measuring in volume. So I always pour my resin on the side, it stops all the spills. So I have purposely broke the rules in the resin game. I haven't actually warmed my resin up. It is really hot in the studio, and I'm very aware that my hardener is warmer than it would like to be. Of course, it's the hardener that does all the magic, not the resin. We only warm the resin up just to improve the viscosity. So I haven't warmed it up. I want my resin to be quite thick, actually, and it will be a little bit bubbly because I've cut corners, but that's going to work in my favour doing artwork on a board that is shallow, and I can pop the bubbles later on. Next up, give it a slow, gentle stir for 3 minutes. This is the time when you contemplate life, think things through. What are you doing here? More importantly, what are you going to do with your clock? How are you going to execute it? Where are you going to put your colours? Maybe you're going to do a dirty pour, all your colours poured at once. Maybe you're going to do sections. Maybe you're going to have a complementary palette, so you might do nice almost midnight navy blue base with just one streak of yellow and gold. Maybe you want a harmonious palette and you want to do pinks and lilacs. That would look lovely. So this is your time to think it all through. Make sure you've got everything ready because you want to give yourself the best opportunity of work time with your resin. So if you haven't made your decisions now, all this time this resin will be cooking in the pot and it will probably cure on you. So have everything ready prior to pouring and you'll be good to go. Okay, so stirred and good to go. So I'm going to suspend my board off the table, otherwise I'm going to resin it to my workspace. I don't want to do that. Now, do you want to protect your board? Hopefully you'll have done it before mixing up your resin. You'll put some tape on underneath. I'm not going to worry too much. I'm going to try not to over pour. The trick is to use enough resin. I have used 70 mils of resin, 70 mils of hardener, by the way, and I will have a little bit left over to play with just in case. So here we go. Okay, so these are the colours that I'm using. I'm just going to mix them up now, and I'll put the video on fast forward. Just remember, if you're using my transparent tints, you don't need much at all. A lot goes a long way. I want my clock to be primarily white and just some streaks of colour, so just sit back and enjoy. So now is the time to get the rest of my mix. I've got my two main colours, Puffball White and Almost Midnight, so I'll put those to the side. I don't want to keep any more resin cooking in this cup, so I'm going to split it up now. The shallower amounts of resin in your pots when you're working with artwork resin, the better, because it'll cook slower. And when I say cook, I mean cure. You know what I mean. I know it's going to be good. I'm so excited. Okay, I've got my 3 little pots there. I'll put them to the side for a couple of minutes. But what I want to do most of all is get my clock ready, and I'm going to just start enjoying the process. So I want to do like 2 cut-offs, if you like, on mine. So it's going to be like a geode clock, but we're not going to do too much texture on this bit because we need to remember that the hands of the clock need to go round. Your mechanism is quite small, so if you put too much chunks on now, your hands of your clock won't go round. Enjoy it. Forget about all the textbook knowledge of art and what you should be and you shouldn't be doing and all of that. Just enjoy it. If you like a colour, throw it on. If you like some sparkle, throw it on. It doesn't matter. The more you enjoy it, the better. So I'm just going to put little bits on for now because I'm not really sure what I'm going to do. And that's okay. It'll evolve and it'll do its own thing anyway because you're working with resin and that's what happens. I will turn the camera around as well in a minute. I like to get as much resin out of these pots as possible and then use a wet wipe just to give them a clean, because it means we can use our pots again. So I'll get as much as I can, and then on one of the plastic bags or the bio bags that you get in my orders, you can turn it upside down so it continues to drain whilst not in, I'll put it there to show you. If you do it on a bio bag or a plastic bag or a bin bag or some greaseproof paper, the residue that falls onto that you can collect and save and use it again. Maybe you want to save your drips and then add them on your second layer. That would be cool. So I'm pretending to do this all nicey. I actually like to get my fingers in. Oh, of course. We'll use this one. I've got quite a lot of resin on there. I don't want too much. I don't want loads and loads and loads of drips. Because if it's going to drip over the edge, which is fine as if it does, but it can create a bit of a surface tension issue. So I'm going to stand up for this bit because I've always got more control when I'm stood up in any of the art that I do. So I'm just going to put some nice dark, almost midnight on both sides. I'm not going to worry too much if they join up or not, because I'm going to come in with some more in a minute, my other colours, and a little bit of heat, and it'll all keep moving for a minute. We've got a good 20 minutes to play with our resin at this point. So at this point it all looks a little bit controlled and a bit weird and it's not doing its thing, but this is trust the process. This is kind of our base layer and then we're going to just keep adding and adding and it's going to all pull together and look really, really good. I've also mixed up some of my secret gold, which is absolutely beautiful. I've popped it on top of my almost midnight and it's going to look stunning, and I'll show you that in a minute. I'm just going to put a couple more colours on and then I'm going to flip the camera. This is Deep Water. Transparent tint. Look at it! Oh, I love it. So let's put some around our damselfly turquoise, and as I pour, I'm pouring off my board, off the edges. I'm letting it drip off a little bit around these edges, but not crazy amounts. And I just constantly keep an eye. Next up, we definitely need some hummingbird. Oh, I can't get into this one. I've got some tiny residue left in my cup, so rather than use another pot, I'm just going to use this cup. This. Oh my god. I'm trying to get to see. Look at it. So good. Okay, I definitely want a little drizzle of this on my almost midnight dark blue, but not too much. And I don't want to waste too much because I haven't got much. And I think we need a swirl down there. We're going to get the heat gun. Okay, it's all looking a little bit plain at the moment, isn't it? So we're going to come on in with some heat, pop some of these surface bubbles that are coming from the MDF. And yeah. This is the really, really important bit now. This is where you should just leave it and walk away. But I can't. So I think I'm going to put some Bloom drifting powder on and give it a little blow and just put some pretty bits on, but not too much. Right, if you're using my drifting powder, honestly, oh, it's bad. It's going to go everywhere. So cocktail stick is all you need. And I'm going to just do some strategic, oh, wrong way. I'm going to just do some strategic swirling with my stick. Now there's only a little bit left in my pot, so I'm sticking my wet stick back in the pot, but ideally you're going to want to clean your stick each time. So I'm going to turn the camera around so you can have a look. Don't touch your resin without your gloves on, by the way. Okay, let's do a little bit here. This is so fun. I've had some spillages, but I quite like those. You can just pull them out and that would be fine. A little bit more. Let's do some over here. Ah, well, that was cool. Just a little bit of a hint of one over here. Time to get some more. This is what my problem. I can't stop, you see. Oh, this is going to be chaos, this one. Look at that. And I think I'm just going to do it on the darker blue bits. I don't think, well, too late, I've already spilled some. It looks so good. So I'm just going to go around with my stick just to make sure there's no drips. And I did have about 10 mils of resin left, so you could have probably got away with 65. Right, I'm just going to take some black acrylic. I'm using Mars Black. Oh no, I might not be. There's one left. It's okay. I love doing that. Right, old paintbrush because I don't want to think about it too much. I'm just literally going to use black acrylic on this. You can do, there's different ways of doing it. You can spray it, you can dip it. I don't want to use anything a bit smelly in my studio, so I'm not going to spray it, but I am going to rustic up these edges. I tell you what would look lovely on these as well is chalk paint. Chalk paint would be lovely, and you might want to do a sponge rather than an old paintbrush. So I'm going to just do that for a minute, speed up the camera. So I've got it covered. I'm just checking that there's no excess paint lurking in any of the cutouts because I was a bit heavy-handed and I want it to be quite tacky. So I'm just going to take some of my drifting powder that's nearly gone, and I'm just going to rustically kind of edge it. Oh, I'm wearing it now. I'm wearing it. Who's going to be the lucky person to get this clock? I think we should do an auction again for the Legion. A little bit of drifting powder. When it's completely dry, I'll seal it with Bloom Finish or Bloom Eco. It's on both of our websites. It's the little things. I've also got a little bit of soft gold here, just sort of going between the two. Don't panic, this is actually sort of dry, it's not messing up my powder. I told you I'm a messy artist, I get it everywhere. I love that. I just love making a mess. This looks so good. I'm not going to worry too much about the underside because obviously that's going to stick on the board, but you might want to do the inside trim and the outer edges if you are wanting those bits done as well. Also, let me know if I should do more of these videos because they take a lot of effort, you know, so I won't if it's boring. I think that looks pretty good. I was going to do silver with the blues, but then I realised that I'd put this drifting powder brass colour on the board, so I want it to match. But I'm going to let that dry off, and then I'm going to come back in a couple of hours and give it a good finish. Probably going to take a couple of hours to wash my hands. I'm back. It's been about 5-6 hours. I'm not sure exactly, but my piece is definitely set. So you need to work out which way you want: 12 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 3 o'clock, all of that. And my Roman numerals are ready. My topper. It looks so good! What I'm going to do is work out where I want 12 o'clock. Where is 12 o'clock? I'm so glad that I rustic bronze drifting powder to match my resin. I forgot the Roman numerals, but it's okay because hang on. I'm so confused. Do you know what I figured out, guys? There's a front and a back. Unless you want your clock backwards. I did not think this through. My back is black. Right, as far as anybody knows, nothing went wrong. Oh, I can't even get into my Bloom Finish. There we go. This is UV protector, so it's going to really do a good job. I mean, that's my lovely side. We don't want that. We're going on the I didn't realise. I didn't think it through, which is a good job you've watched me do it here, isn't it? So I'm just going to do, because my black paint is set, I'm just going to do, this is so good, this Bloom Finish. You can get it on my website and just for use. Nick and Laura's got it on there as well. And it's a UV sealant. So it's going to hold your colour, protect your work. But also, it acts a bit like a glue, a varnish, a sealant. It's great for eco-pour, acrylic. It's a good all-rounder of a product. And it's water-based. I'm using an old bristled brush because I just find it so much easier to be quite forceful and just not really think about it. A soft bristled brush, like a watercolour brush, is just gonna you can't be as rough. You gotta just put some effort into it, guys. I've got me drifting powder. This drifting powder's going a long way. I don't want much, so I'm just gonna, and I'm thinking about my brush strokes. I'm not going the same direction. I'm going left, right, crosshatch, all the directions. I just think that adds a really nice touch. So I'll do that, and then I'll come back and show you. Secret gold as well, if you do want a little bit of alternative shades of gold on there as well. I don't want too much. I do want it to still have the lovely black shining through. Just being quite aggressive. Let off some steam. Right, that's cool. And we can seal it again as well once that's dried off. I'm going to give it a little dry under a heat gun, and then I'm going to seal it again and dry it. Right, ready now. So you want to work out which is 12 o'clock, 6 o'clock on your clock, and I want my navy blues left and right. So I've positioned my clock at 12 o'clock. My clock dial is still a little bit tacky. Here we go again, Roman numeral time. Oh, I should have paid more attention at school. What I'm going to do is, you can use resin for this, but I want a quick fix for now. So I'm just going to use some super glue. Gorilla Glue is a really good bet. The Gorilla Tube Glue. I'm just going to pop, it's a bit hard to do it on the camera with this piece of art. I'm just going to put, less is more actually. If you're using Gorilla Glue, use the tube glue that's non-expanding. The last thing you want is the glue that expands and then you get all the white crackly expanding foamy stuff all around the edge of your piece that you've just made. So what we're going to do is just glue, less is more. You don't need a lot of super glue, just enough to attach it, and we're going to stick it hopefully the right way round. What a fool. We want to make sure, here we go again, 12 o'clock, 12 o'clock, and you want to make sure it's perfectly attached. It's so good. So good, and it'll stick quite quickly. And if for some reason it needs a little bit of weight, you can just put some weights on it to hold it down. But actually, that is pretty good. Right, let's do clock mechanism first. So you'll get a bag of bits. Okay, it's a quartz mechanism, I think. Yes, it is. Quartz mechanism that takes one AA battery. That's the bit that you turn to get the clock. That's the mechanism. That's the spindle with a screw finish. What else do you get? Okay, flat washer for the back, brass washer, brass nut, and then you've got your hour hands and your second hand. So let's do it together. Carefully, so probably a bit soon. I'd leave it a few hours before you come to do this, but I can't wait. So I'm going to put, first of all, on my mechanism, my washer, and you might just have to push it down with two hands. This just kind of bridges the gap. So you get a nice finish. Annoyingly, I have got a drip right there. I'm just going to sand it off. And what I'm going to do is put my clock mechanism on, like so. It's going to be poking through. Then you're going to get your next washer, pop it on. Then you're going to get your nuts, and you might want to use a spanner. I'm not going to do that at the moment because I've only just made this clock today, and knowing my luck, I'm going to come in with a spanner and scratch it. You might even want to do a second coat of resin on your clock, because I'm kind of happy with how mine's turned out. So I'm going to screw that on, and that's nice and fixed. Probably actually could go a tiny bit tighter. There we go. Then we've got our hands. So what we're going to do first of all is, the best way to remember it is by the size of the holes. So our hand is a bigger hole, big, medium, small. So big, medium, small, hour, minute, seconds. So that's how I'm going to do it. And I'm just going to very gently push it down like so. And then the next one, push it down. And then this red one, push it down like so. Now, if you're anything like me, where's my 12 o'clock gone again? 12 o'clock. I don't like a red hand on this particular clock, so I'm going to just show you a trick of what to do. I'm just going to give my camera a clean. You look all blurry. That's better. So I've got my gold edging pen. This is a very well loved edging pen, so I'm going to just check. Oh, it's empty. Of course it is. It's empty. Well, that was luck, because I found a copper one, and I think that'll go a bit nicer, especially with the copper details. Don't tell the girls at Just For You that we don't want a red handle, a red spindle. Secrets. I can't see what I think I'm doing, guys, so hang on. Just don't want a red hand. Sometimes there's a place for a complementary colour, you know, but not on my beautiful clock. Ooh, it looks cool. But what you can do as well is let that dry, give it 20 minutes, because it is on plastic. Take a little bit longer, and then do a second coat. And I've just got some on the black hand, and it's going to need to be scratched off to get it off. These edging pens are so good. So now I've got a decision. Do I leave those two black, or do them all gold? I'm going to leave them. Right, best bit. Now, a lot of you will not do a loo. You'll all stay with this and be really happy with your finished clock. Voila, voila, beautiful. Oh no, we don't stop here. Now's the time for your textures and all your pretty bits. Now, you could have put them on when the resin was wet, but I didn't want my resin to start swimming off and moving around. And I didn't want to put loads of textures on that it's going to be too tall for my hands to go round, if you know what I mean. So what I'm going to do is get on the textures. I'm going to start playing around with them. So sometimes it's a really good idea to look at bits that you're not so happy with, and then you can be like, I'm going to cover it up. So I'm going to go for some here. I'm using UV resin, just a little bit, and I'm going to go over my clock boards. You lot are going to be panicking, you're going to enjoy it, don't worry about it. So I'm going to put sprinklings of textures on the actual board as well, but what I'm going to do is go over them with some of the gold edging pens as well. It would be best to cure it fully under a UV lamp for several minutes after. This is just an initial quick cure just to get this UV to just be a little bit tacky so I can do some layers. It's coming together. Right, less is more. Crystals. Crystals. These are really big crystals. But I'm going to stick them down first of all with glue. Oh, I've got some beautiful sea glass. Less is more. We're going to get the sea glass. My lovely friends from Drift Away Craft Studios sent me tons of sea glass. I'm going to have a little hunt and see if I can find the right colours. And I'm going to just layer a load of textures on. So what I'm going to do is look for my super glue. And I think I'm going to strategically have crystals coming off like a cluster here and there. So I'll make sure my clock's at 12 o'clock, 6 o'clock. And these are some big quartz crystals. Wow, that looks cool. I could even tower them. But I don't want to just do one section, so I could do some more over here. I'm looking for a bit that I'm not fussed for. I think I need crystals over here. Like lots of crystals, that's so nice. So I think I'll just play around and coming back. I feel really sad. The kids said my quartz crystals were just too big and they don't look right on here. I'm going to save them. But I did find the sea glass and lots of little bits. So I've just pulled some bits out to have a little play around with and have a little look. I'll show you. These beautiful brown, look at those. Sea glass. Don't want that. That's a little bit of Chinese. And I just think I could do something cool here with these. So I am nearly there now, guys. Absolute lie, nowhere near nearly there. I'm going to take my edging pen and I really love to flood them on the textures. I'm just going to push down. I'm going to turn the camera around. Watch this. If you just flood them, eek, it's so cool. And I'm just going to do that. Oop, it's still a little bit, needs a bit more UV light, but we'll do that in a minute. Just to break it up a little bit. Oops, let's see if I can do it here. One-handed photography here, guys. Oh, it's still a little bit wet. We need to just go back. What do you think to ornate feathers? Only joking. I think we might be done. Ah, I love it. I love it. I mean, you can gold edge it. You could get some really ginormous chunky rope to put around if you wanted a really rustic vintage feel around the edge. Absolutely chuffed to bits.